Hey y'all, welcome in to Bestie We're Not From Here, Season 2, Episode 1. I wanted to start off today just by acknowledging and apologizing that I kind of just dropped y'all. I'm going to be real, okay? I dropped y'all. Did not mean to. It did happen though, and I want to apologize for that. I essentially just kind of had to put myself in timeout without knowing that that was what I was actively doing. And yeah, so I'm going to be explaining a bit of that journey in the next coming up episodes. But today is just kind of a, like, why I guess I did it and why it had to happen the way it did. So buckle up, we're getting into it. I didn't know until I knew that I thought that Spirit had lit the match for me onto my life. They might have started it. I was the one that threw it in flames, and I didn't know that. I didn't know that till yesterday, truthfully. I'm a bit hard-headed sometimes, and especially how I grew up and just being a parentified child, a recovering people pleaser. I always thought that I had to earn whatever I got. The last few months have been like ancestral healing, removing chakras. That's been, I've lost like 3 chakras. That's been so interesting. Removing like identities, doing past life work, just intense work that I couldn't have done if anyone was around me, because one of my main issues was that I was hoping that other people would show me how to human. That's exactly what it is. I didn't know what I was doing, and I was hoping for an adultier adults to come in and save me. All it is. I finally got to the point where I realized that I didn't need saving. And that was really big for me. But I never would have gotten there if I hadn't cut off people and maybe been a little bit cold about it, because I have such a big heart that wants to over-explain things, that wants to make sure that you're good before I'm good. And I really had to work on that. So a lot of people got cut off. A lot of people fell away. I thought that I heard the word suction tube. I felt like I was just in a corridor with no windows, no doors, nothing. And it was because people had told me, you're going to know when you go, you're going to know, da-da. So I kept waiting till I knew. And it was me listening to voices outside of me. That was my issue. The ancestral side is probably going to be its own separate video. I'll focus on that in the next weeks. One of the things that I realized I needed to do was I needed to unearth my feminine. I did. I needed to realize what the feminine masculine within me, what their roles were. What weight were they carrying that they didn't need to? Where did they need forgiveness? Where did they need understanding? Where did they need their load lightened? If you notice from last season to this season, I changed my whole entire room layout. This is because my feminine, when I started actually finally listening to her, she loves being in the sun. I moved this bed so I can lay out in sunspots because I want a cat. Like, genuinely, I just want a cat. I just want to be out in the sun, in the cold, in my room, covered up with some blankets, just enjoying the sun. So I moved everything around. I started realizing how much my masculine was trying to overcompensate for my unbalanced feminine, and that was so big for me. I'm currently self-diagnosed. I was so worried about not labeling myself that I think I invalidated myself at one point, so I am going to get tested at some point, but I am self-labeled autistic. I do have ADHD, and I do have OCD tendencies. Now, the more I heal, the more those tendencies are coming out. And I realize that I am a masked a masking individual. I am someone whose needs were not met, being a parentified child, that very much had to hide the fact that she even needed anything. And I thought growing up that I was dumb, that I wasn't very smart. And it was because now I understand being autistic. I just need things explained in a certain way. Because what I'm doing is I'm reading energy, but I'm also listening to your words. And a lot of times the words you speak aren't matching the energy around you. And it's like people think that they're explaining things to me and they weren't explaining it coherently. So I was having issues understanding people and how to human. And because of my upbringing, I didn't know how to ask for help. So at this point in time, I'm self-made. Genuinely. I don't take any joy in saying that. And I don't think that that's a bad thing either, though. I'm just stating the facts of how I was brought up, how I was raised, and who I'm discovering I am today, because that's something that I'm learning to do. I'm learning how to balance my masculine and my feminine so that they're both seen and heard and understood. And that's been such a blessing. Really, it has been. Feeling at ease within myself is something I never thought I'd do. I have a lot of trauma. I do have CPTSD, okay? I have been in my freeze and my fawn for years. And now, where my understanding is and where my healing has gone, I know that I don't have to pick up those thoughts anymore. It's the weirdest feeling, finding peace within yourself and actually reintegrating your nervous system and having it finally unclench for the first time your whole entire life is the weirdest, most amazing sensation I've ever experienced, because it's finally quiet in my head. I finally understand that when I'm nervous about something, my brain's going to start assigning it a meaning. So I'm going to start ruminating. I'm going to start thinking about scenarios that don't even exist, because my brain just senses danger and tries to assign a meaning for that danger, when in reality, I'm just nervous. I noticed the last few days that the thoughts haven't left yet. We haven't gotten to that point. They're still there, and I could pick them up if I wanted to. But that is the big thing that I never thought that I had over, was control over my own mind. I never realized that thoughts, I've always heard, like, feelings aren't facts. I didn't realize thoughts aren't facts. I don't have to pick up the thought just because I have it. Just because it's presented to me, I don't have to go, oh, that's mine. And that's been absolutely huge for me. And I also realized too, none of this, the things that I'm like speaking on right now, made sense to me before this year. If I would have heard the things coming out of my mouth today, back then, I would not understand a single word. Because, and this is the reason why I had to implode my life, I am so hard-headed. If you do not explain it to me like I'm 5, I'm not going to know what it is. Like, for instance, when I was little, I remember in middle school, I used to wash this side of my arms and not this side. I didn't know you were supposed to wash everything. No one had told me. People just assumed I knew. If you assume I know things, you have to physically tell me the thing. I don't assume a thing, okay? I read energy and I listen to your words. That's all I do. So in middle school, I thought that the water, like the soap, would just wash off and kind of just wash you. It doesn't do that. Okay? Like, no one taught me I was supposed to brush my hair every day. No one taught me what makeup did for you, okay? No one taught me how to brush my teeth. I've had teeth issues growing up my whole entire life. No one was teaching me things And it resulted in me really feeling like I was very stupid because I wasn't getting things. And now it's my understanding that I am autistic and things are starting to make a lot of sense. So one of the things that I've been integrating with myself is, because of this, because I have a different learning style, how do I learn? How do I need information delivered to me? How can I ask a question to get the answer I need? I have been jokingly just saying, hey, can you explain that to me like I'm 5? But I think I still need to layer deeper than that, because Spirit explained it to me as I am a somatic learner. So somatic, I want body. What do I do with my body when you tell me to do something? Because again, you can tell me, go wash your body. Okay, what does that look like? What does this do when I go do that? And so now I'm trying to learn how to go ahead and how to ask those questions so I can get a response that I need right away, instead of getting frustrated because I'm not being understood. This has been huge for me. Learning how to advocate for myself, learning that my needs are just as important as others' needs, has been absolutely huge to me, because I have been the foundation for everyone. I have been the backbone of every relationship I've ever been in, because no one ever wanted to stand up and just lead for me. I had to lead for everybody else. And that was part of my trauma. That was part of the things that I removed, was just me feeling like I had to fix the world, because that's what you do when you get into spirituality. You know, you have so much trauma and so many unmet needs and so much that needs to really be healed, but you're so used to the whole world dropping you and no one showing up for you like you need to, even yourself, that you turn it all externally and you think, if I heal the world, they'll turn around and they'll see me and they'll heal me. They'll finally know who I am. No one's going to know who you are until you do. And that was a very hard pill to swallow. But I did, and I got here. And I'm very thankful to be here, truthfully. I lost my fire. And I think that's why I let my world burn. I started out my spiritual journey very heavy in astral and meditation. I know y'all have heard it. I spent 5 hours once in meditation because I had no limits there. There were so many times when people were just shocked by the things I was saying I was doing. And it was kind of a running joke where they were like, you kind of seem crazy at first, but then it started making sense. I was like, yeah, I know, it's weird, isn't it? I lost my meditation. I lost my vision for a while now. It's been a good couple months, okay? And with it went my creativity, my passion, my drive. It was like I was totally offline, okay? Which I found out. It was spirit cut me off of the astral. I will explain. But I've always been a vivid dreamer, but now I'm making sense of my dreams. I also had a past life dream like 2 nights ago. That was absolutely wild. I haven't dreamt about past lives before, so that was so much fun. There's a state called hypnagogic, I believe is how it's pronounced. Don't quote me. And it's a state between awake and sleep, where you can get visions, you can get downloads, stuff like that. And it's because I, as a recovering control freak, always tried to hijack everything. So this was the only time that spirit could be like, here's the information you need, here are the codes you need, and you get out of your own way. So at first, I was only getting snippets of words, and it would be 1 or 2 words. I got stadium. They just gave me surfer. That's so weird. I got stadium. I got princess. Stuff like that. And it felt like I was getting huge sentences, but my conscious brain was clicking in going, oh my gosh, it's going to disappear. Let's read it. And my brain just goes, hey, we're trying to read. We must be awake. And it would shoot me awake. So it was the most annoying thing because I was trying to play in this state, but I didn't know how to. And this has been another one of my big issues, is that I don't feel like there's anyone like me. But my issue is I keep acting like there are. So I keep waiting on someone to explain to me how to do the things that I'm already just doing on a normal Tuesday. So that's been really interesting to realize that there are no adultier adults than me. That's kind of scary. I'm not gonna lie. I'm still getting adjusted to that. Oh my gosh. Yesterday afternoon, I went down for a nap. Everything in this house had gotten so loud and so overbearing, okay, that I couldn't even handle anymore. So in tapping into my feminine and masculine, I was like, I am overstimulated. I need to go to bed. So I did. I took an hour nap. And then when I came slightly out of it, I got my first sentence. And it was something like, I can't believe myself, the disgust as it all accumulated before the tower fell. And I was like, that sounds like a tower moment. Like, what are we doing? What proceeded is just a whole bunch of visions that I went through, moments in time that I had to decode later, but I made sure I have to write everything down or else I forget. And I noticed I especially do this with my dream visions as well. I can retain a lot more now because I've written them down, which is so nice. I did all that, right? Well, part of that vision space was seeing my son, Oliver. He has his room next door to mine. And I saw him with white and gold around him, and it felt very angelic. And all I was doing was I was picking up his room. I wasn't touching him. And I was told the reason why I saw that was to know that I didn't need to protect him as much as I was, because they ripped me off the grid that I was on. And part of that was ripping him off my grid so that way he could create his own and he could be his own sovereign, because you're your own player. You're your own main character. So he has his own life. It's not my life. He has to live it. So he has to create his own grid himself. I went in and I was trying to figure out which archangel was with him. Michael has been with me my whole entire journey. He's been very predominant and very heavy in our lives. Well, come to find out, it was Metatron. And upon digging, I figured out that Metatron is here for a lot of the grid workers, a lot of the architects, which I am a human architect, a lot of the people that are working with frequencies, just the infrastructures, he is a big helper with. So essentially, this dude has been here the whole time and hasn't said a thing. I got called out yesterday. He said, "You're an architect. You keep going into rooms you've built, surprised you have access and people have let you in." Oh my God, did this guy just call me? Did he call me out like that? Bro. No one ever explained it that way though. I thought that I was just sneaking into places. But now I'm understanding that I was the one that built the code. Okay. Understood. So I found out that he is one of the predominant forces that allows you to FAFO in astral. He wants you to touch things to find your limits, if they exist, and to figure out what happens when you break something and how to put it back together. He just wants you to have fun. Once, I didn't realize this was him, but now I know, he gave me the flower of life. I saw it as an orb. And he goes, play. What do you mean play? Like genuine, how do I play? So I started just kind of plucking things and figuring out what I still have no idea what I did. That one probably didn't really work out very well for me, but so I learned all this about Metatron. This is when I find out that my access to astral has been turned off because of all of the heavy work that they were doing internally, that I was doing internally. Because remember, when I first started, I asked what inside of me allows all this kind of stuff to happen. Because I asked that question, I had to remove the things inside of me that were making my life a loop. That's like your bones, okay? I didn't realize what I was asking when I asked it. So be careful what you ask for. Just saying. Because I like to touch things and then ask for permission, they had to shut off my astral access. I couldn't meditate anymore because I would mess it up somehow. I would either touch it, I would try to accelerate it, I would do something that I was not supposed to do. So they had to cut me off. In talking with Metatron, I remembered I have a command center that I built, okay? Top layer is source code. I didn't realize it was code. I didn't realize it was code. I just thought it was source. It's source coding. Okay. Second layer is energy points, energy centers. There's thousands upon them. I know how much energy that they can give. They have fail safes on them, and they only give a certain amount before it switches over to the next energy center. And then that one can regroup its energy before I ever go back to it, okay? Just how this works. The third layer is the crystals that run this whole entire thing, the generators, the servers, the breakers, just everything, okay? I asked a couple people just to kind of help me with the language so I could figure out what I needed, and I built this creation. Metatron let me know that I didn't understand even half of what this thing can do. And so me, instinctively, I just want to go. Let's go play. What else can I do with it? Can I make improvements? How does it look now? I got pushed on my butt. Metatron literally said, your access has been denied. I was like, why? Come to find out, this thing is now alive. So I have learned with architects, we have a creator mode and like an FAFO mode, okay? They're going to have you tinker and it's not going to affect anything. When it goes into creator mode, that means it's live and you can't touch. Did not know that, okay? So apparently my command center is live. I don't even know what it does. I'm probably gonna pull cards and like figure out what it does. Let's be real, because I wanna know. I'm not allowed to touch the command center, that's kind of annoying. And he told me, he goes, your astral access has been removed. Didn't say anything about your 3D access. I was like, wait, what? And this is the moment when I think my fire went back. Because all of a sudden I remembered, when I first started, I was reading a lot of Dolores Cannon. You can see her up there. Yeah, Convoluted Universe, love it. And she was speaking about Atlantis, how they used crystals for like energy sources, like fires and stuff. They used stones for light. They could take rocks straight out of the ground and completely change their molecular structure to be like chairs or like little things here and there, whatever it was. I was like, wait, I can do those things? Okay, you can't tell me I can do things without giving me examples. Like, let's do it. So I tried to do it. I kind of kept hitting a bunch of roadblocks, but it's because in astral I feel limitless and in 3D I feel limited because I haven't figured out how to. And so how it's been explained to me is that you come into the 3D, it's like a video game. You chose your character, okay, you designed it, you created everything with it, put all the stats in, you put it down, and then the game has boundaries that it puts on you. They're not like super airtight, they're not even touching. They're just like, hey, these things like exist. Gravity, okay, magic isn't real, these kind of things. They're suggestions. You have to figure out how to remove the suggestions or like maybe finagle them in order to get them to disengage, is what we're going to say. I went onto ChatGPT, and I know a lot of people don't like ChatGPT, AI, I get it. But I needed someone to explain in a way that I could start physical forward movement on. The first thing we're going to work on is floating a crystal. Okay, so they had me imagine a hand on top of my hand, but then to feel it physically with the energy. We did that. I felt my fingers twitch. That was so much fun. And then I told this hand to not move, and I had the imaginary hand make a fist, move the fingers, and I could feel them moving in my forearm. And it was the funniest sensation because I didn't feel like I had a hand. And I went to go grab my cup of coffee, and my brain was freaking out going, no, 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 we're going to drop it. We're going to drop it. And my eyeballs saw the hand, but I wasn't registering that I had a hand. That was the weirdest experience ever. It was so amazing, but it was so weird at the same time. I put my hand next to a small object, and I had the hand above it feel the object, and it felt very dense on top of it. And then I had that hand move through the object, and at first my brain was going, hey, that object is solid, we can't do it. So I had to incorporate a little bit of my imagination, a little bit astral into it, and I felt that finger go through it like kinetic sand. And that was phenomenal. That was so much fun. So apparently I'm learning like telekinesis or something. I don't know. All I know is I told ChatGPT what I want to do, and this is what we're starting to do. So I'm hoping to get from A to B, because this is my thing. Once when I can break my brain to show my brain that these things are allowed in the simulation, I should be good. But that's my issue. I just have to break my brain enough to know that just because other people don't do it doesn't mean that I can't do it. And that's where we're going for. So I'm very excited. But then after that, I went into the shower. I got my green light. I've been waiting for my creativity to come back this whole time, and I didn't even know it. And getting that green light meant so much to me because I didn't realize I had sort of sat myself in timeout. I was over there in the little corner, just sitting, hanging out, thinking that I was waiting on a sign. I was waiting on me. I was in a self-contained bubble. And Spirit said, okay, well, while you're here, we're just going to remove this and throw away this, and we're going to clean this. And you ready yet? I finally said yes. So I came back into my room at one point during the nighttime, and I noticed, and again, if you have my TikTok, you'll have already heard this story, but we're going to explain it again. My thigh, my feminine side's your left, masculine's your right. My left side, the outer thigh, started cramping so bad. And since I am a somatic practitioner, I put my hand on my thigh. And I just told myself, I love me. I love who I'm becoming. And I give myself permission to release this. The next thing I know, my foot just starts twitching like mad. And if you know me, and some of the tips I've given, you have corks in your feet. I removed the corks in my feet to start the flow of that energy coming down because it needed to go somewhere. It had to be grounded out somewhere. I had 3 big episodes of twitching and cramping in my thigh and my foot. And the 3 were, it was just this cylinder of sludge that was compacted and together that just came out. There was like mud patties that were just sludge that was coming out once. I had a green cylinder. I had white pine cones. And just, I remember also there was a time when my feminine and my masculine were just excavating and just demolishing old identity patterns that I had picked up that I thought that were mine, that I no longer resonated with and needed. I was in this space for like 30 minutes, just letting my feminine out and free and to just remove everything that wasn't serving her anymore. And this is kind of the magic that I was missing in my life. But I couldn't get to this place until I felt ready, until I had removed everyone else's voice from my own, and I couldn't get here until I realized that I am my own magic. I am my own creator. I keep waiting for somebody to lead the way for me when I meant to lead my own way. It's like Forrest Gump. You remember he just started running one day and TV shows started, news stations, they started covering him and people started following him, and he never spoke, but people followed. And I've always kind of jokingly referred to myself as that. If you want to follow what I do, that's cool. I'm glad some of this stuff resonates, but I think it's just time that I really start explaining what I'm doing, I guess. And I just hope that some of y'all resonate with some of the things that I'm saying and it helps some of y'all. So yeah, if you're looking for a chakra reset session, I have links, I think, in this bio. If not, you can always go on my TikTok and I have stuff on there. Sessions are so much more than just for working on your chakras. Genuinely, they are. You have to remember I'm an architect, so I know how to move energy out of you. I know how to remove the scaffolding that you have created to become this person. I know how to get you out of your own way. I know how to download the codes. I know how to move the energy. I know how to get you moving forward. And that is one thing that I'm truly blessed with, and I know it's not going to be the last. There will probably come a point where I stop doing these services just because I find other things to do. Truthfully. So I hope y'all enjoy them while they last. It's been so fun working with people with them. All right, y'all, and that wraps up season 2, episode 1 of Besties We're Not From Here. I wanna get back more into the magic of things and just explain some of the things that I touch on and the crazy experiences I have just moving forward, because I want to remind y'all that this is just one level. We're here having a human experience, but it doesn't mean that this is all we are. We're just consciousness experiencing itself all over again, Anyway, I love y'all. Be easy.